Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome. Got a lot of visitors today. It's great to, and actually not really visitors, familiar faces, so good to see everyone. Let's start out with the introductions.
Good afternoon. I am Christine Smith, Clerk to the Board. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I am Marlissa Easton, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Great.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Rodriguez McDowell, and I have the honor of being elected by the people of District 6.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Meyer, and I represent District 5.
And I'm George Dunlap, elected by the people of District 3.
Lee Altman, County Commissioner serving at large, and I also serve as Vice Chair.
Well, good afternoon again, everyone. Mark Jarrell, been elected by the people of District 4. Welcome. So I have the honor of serving as chair, excuse me. No worries.
Good afternoon. My name is Vilma D. Leake, and I represent the most powerful district in the county. That's District 2. And I'm thankful to the people of District 2 who continue to elect me.
Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Arthur Griffin. I have the pleasure of serving as County Commissioner at Large.
Good afternoon. I am Mecklenburg County Commissioner Elaine Powell, representing District 1, which is North Mecklenburg, Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, and North Charlotte. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Tyrone Wade, County Attorney.
Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. I'm Mike Bryant, Mecklenburg County Manager.
All right, then we'll hear from the executive team, and then we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon. Leslie Johnson, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon. Derek Ramos, Deputy County Manager and Chief of Staff.
Good afternoon. Evan Cox, County Budget Director.
Good afternoon. Michael Griswold, Director of Strategy and Innovation.
We're good to go? All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Everybody else didn't want to go?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hope.
All right, so we've got 4 items on the agenda today. As we start every meeting, we're going to start the same way. We go through our mission, our vision, and make sure that everyone is familiar with our board priorities so that everyone understands that's what really guides our discussion. And so our mission is to serve Mecklenburg County residents by helping improve their lives and community. The vision states Mecklenburg County will be a community of pride and choice for people to live, learn, work, and recreate. Our FY 26-27 budget priorities are as follows: economic development, education, environmental stewardship, health equity and wellness, services for seniors, workforce development, and reducing racial disparities. And with that being said, we do have, again, 4 items on the agenda. Before I turn it over to the manager, I want to take care of one piece of business, board business, and that is, team, we are going to make sure we adhere to time limits. If you have follow-ups that go beyond your allotted time, I'm going to ask that you send that to staff. I'm going to ask that you respect the bell, finish your thought, but that will be the end of it. There won't be subsequent follow-ups. If time runs out, you'll have to send those to staff or connect offline with those individuals. And I'm going to ask all of us to be respectful and mindful of all of our colleagues. And if you do go long, I am going to step in. It might sound rude, and it's not intended that way. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Manager Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, each year in preparation for our upcoming budget cycle, we extend an invitation to our advisory boards to share with the Board of County Commission their priorities for the upcoming fiscal year, which is 2027. And today you will hear from 2 of those advisories, the first one being the Domestic Violence Advisory Council, and then followed by the Park and Recreation Commission as well. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask that you recognize representatives from the Domestic Violence Advisory Board.
You are recognized and welcome, and thank you for being here. And while you're making your way to the podium, we'll have Commissioner Townsend Ingram introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for my tardiness. My name is Yvette Townsend Ingram, also known as Commissioner YTI. Welcome to everyone.
Thank you. And you can begin whenever you get ready.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I will be presenting on behalf of the Domestic Violence Advisory Board, and these are our fiscal year 2027 budget priorities. So our priorities encompass 4 major topics, which will include sheltering and housing, mental health, youth and teen support, and lastly, communications and awareness of our existing resources. With regards to sheltering and housing, we have the following needs. We've seen that in fiscal year 2025, there were approximately 2,262 households that experienced homelessness in the Mecklenburg County, and that reported a history of domestic violence at some time within their lives. And of that amount, 754 of these did include children. Safe and Lights did provide short-term emergency shelter or hoteling to approximately 775 adults and children that fled intimate partner violence during 2025, which averaged out about 43 nights per stay. And overall, the demand for sheltering and housing solutions by domestic violence survivors continues to exceed the supply of resources. In addition, the Salvation Army Center of Hope often becomes pretty much an overflow location for these survivors. So what's currently being done? Mecklenburg County has invested in dedicating resources for domestic violence survivors who are seeking sheltering as well as housing. The Housing for Good program has a $336,806 fiscal year 2026 investment, and those encompass county funds. They include 12 to 24 months of rapid rehousing assistance and supportive services for families that have fled intimate partner violence. The program originally served up to 15 families. Unfortunately, now that number seems to be up to 12, which is basically due to an increased housing cost. And the program is accessed through coordinated entry. Additionally, what's being done, there's funding for domestic violence housing passing through Mecklenburg County. On the federal level, HUD Domestic Violence Rapid Rehousing funds via the Continuum of Care. In 2026, they'll be providing $440,540. It supports approximately 15 households with rapid rehousing. There are HUD funds that also support a dedicated coordinated entry social worker who assesses the household experience, those households are experiencing homelessness due to domestic violence. And then additionally, in 2026, the federal block grant funded about $104,000, and this support provided 50 households within the Domestic Violence Fund, which was a one-time financial assistance relating to the housing stability. A few recommendations for the sheltering and housing. We'd like to see a continued investment in the Housing for Good program and allocating block grant funds for the Domestic Violence Fund. Consider increasing investment in these resources because current funding is fully utilized and increased. The housing costs have reduced how many households can actually benefit from these funds. Support investments in emergency shelter bed space and solutions that will add capacity for emergency sheltering while also keeping families together. And lastly, supporting the efforts of the Continuum of Care to fully utilize available HUD dollars for domestic violence housing. Next, we'll shift to mental health. We have the following need. Although mental health and domestic violence do not share a causal relationship, they are frequently co-occurring issues. The high prevalence of domestic violence and intimate partner violence in Mecklenburg County suggests there is also high need for related mental health services and support. So between January 2022 and November 2024, CMPD the largest law enforcement agency in Mecklenburg County, received on average 37,582 domestic violence citizen-initiated patrol calls for service each year. Between 23 and 25, Mecklenburg County Civil District Court saw an average of 3,761 ex parte restraining orders that were filed each year. And between 23 and 25, the Greater Charlotte Hope Line received an average of 8,733 calls each year. These calls were from survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and individuals who were in need of parenting support. So what's currently being done? Mecklenburg County invests in clinical mental health counseling for child observers and adult or teen victims and survivors of intimate partner violence. The community support services served 697 adults in 2025, of which 220 were children or teens. Often no more than 2 weeks waiting period for counseling, and the wait for children's counseling is currently about 2 months. Mecklenburg County invests in non-clinical psychoeducation for abusive partners through new options for violent actions, as well as one licensed clinician for NOVA clients who need additional support. CSS NOVA program served about 713 abusive partners in 2025. Also in 2025, evaluation of 179 of those clients who graduated from the program the year before found 172 with no record of recidivism since their graduation. So there's about a 4% rate there. Mecklenburg County is a leading partner in the creation of the Umbrella Center, the Family Justice Center model of services for people impacted by intimate partner violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, child maltreatment, elder abuse. This is coming late 2026. It's going to provide public-private partnership. Goals will include increased victim survivor safety and well-being, greater offender accountability as well. The mental health components that are envisioned here include on-site counseling and clinical mental health services provided by Pat's Place Child Advocacy Center, Safe Alliance Sexual Trauma Resource Center, and Mecklenburg County Community Support Services. There are additionally off-site partnerships that will assist with medication management, higher levels of care, and psychiatric services. So our recommendations for mental health include, of course, continuing the existing county investments in mental health services that are related to intimate partner violence, continue to support the creation of the Umbrella Center, consider leveraging the Umbrella Center as an opportunity to expand investment in mental health services and support for survivors. Also, to support solutions that will allow us to mitigate wait times for children's clinical mental health services, providing any subsidies to provide additional counseling sessions through contracted external providers. And lastly, strengthening of university to workplace pipeline to recruit qualified mental health clinicians, especially children's clinicians. And next, we will move on to our youth and teen support. So the need with regards to youth and teens includes providing support for youth and teens and is critical for lowering the risk of relationship violence continuing into their adulthood. So being able to reach children and youth with health-related education has become, unfortunately, more difficult in recent years. There was a local interpretation of the state's Parents' Bill of Rights legislation, which was passed in the fall of 2023. This bill and the interpretation has impacted the ability to reach youth and teens throughout CMS schools. So the local interpretation now requires that parents or guardians explicitly opt their child in for certain health-related classes. So what is being done? Mecklenburg County and federal grant partners invest in teen dating violence prevention and healthy relationship education for youth. During 2025, Community Support Services Love Speaks Out program did reach 3,356 youth in schools and communities. 96% of participating youth survey respondents said they can more easily recognize warning signs now of dating abuse as a result of the Love Speaks Out class. And also the survey said that 42% of the respondents said that because of that class, they realized they have experienced or are currently experiencing an unhealthy relationship. So the recommendations that we have, of course, are to continue county investment in teen dating violence prevention and education programming, consider increasing investment to expand the capacity and reach of current programs, monitor ongoing impact of local interpretation of Bill 49 legislation on youth access to programming in schools, partner with CMS School Board and/or intergovernmental committees to share data and solutions, support investments in programming for parents of youth and teens, such as adult counseling and parenting education, to support the development of healthy youth relationships. And next, we have communications and awareness of our existing resources. So we found that Mecklenburg County and community nonprofits offer, of course, a wide array of services and assistance related to intimate partner violence and domestic violence. Overall community awareness of our existing resources do, however, seem to be low. So what's been done? Mecklenburg County engages in domestic violence awareness, education, and outreach activities. Community support services, prevention team, they fulfill resident requests for presentations, resource tables, and educational materials distribution. They coordinate the Domestic Violence Speakers Bureau to expand community outreach and build survivor leadership. They have partnerships with local survivors to host events, such as the Domestic Violence Awareness Empowerment Walk. And there are public information offices that produce materials such as YouTube videos, digital billboards, and social media posts. So our recommendations with regards to communications and awareness of existing resources include support development of intentional communication strategy to raise awareness of our existing community resources and any new initiatives, such as the Umbrella Center. Consider periodic targeted campaigns aligned with National Awareness Months, paired with consistent regular marketing activities. Diversify communication channels and formats to reach various populations. Support development of population-specific outreach materials, such as youth-focused QR codes, posters, and different resource guides. And I thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Who is the liaison to this board? Mr. YTI? Appreciate the presentation. We'll start with Commissioner Townsend Ingram. 3 minutes, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Christine. You guys always do the best, the most excellent job. You're queens of and kings of the make do. That means you make do with the resources that you have. Very familiar with that. And I'm really proud of the work that you've done over this year and actually being able to sit and witness it. Just have a couple of questions. Are there any other creative ways that you can see that the county can support you? And I know that providing that list that you just did with communications and that kind of thing, is there any other specific, intentional, tangible things that the county can do as far as reaching volunteers or something of that nature that doesn't involve financing that we can possibly do and advocate for? That's my first question. Second, as far as just getting this information out and communicating it to the public, when I have someone that comes to me, I usually direct them to the Mecklenburg County website, but then I want to be able to say to them, go to this link, and then there's a list of partners. Do we have like a list of partners? I know that may change periodically, so it may be hard to update that, but I think that if we had a list of partners that, you know, either we had specifically that we can then give out, because I know that there is one group for everybody to them. So that's the other question. And then financially, are there any, and you may know this question, you may not, are there any other state or federal funding cliffs that have occurred because of the recent administration change and things of that nature that you know of that we may be able to partner with the public with, or the private with, so that we can get some additional support?
And Mr. Chair, I may also have staff respond to a couple of Commissioner YTI's questions too.
Yes, thank you for those questions. I would say the additional communication channels would be possibly, you know, just diversifying it, making it more attainable to our youth. Like we mentioned, that other program that was opt-in. So making sure that we have that constant communication with CMS and those advisors there. And then as far as the list, I know that our advisory board, we have a working list, and that's why we continue to invite our community partners, right? Because there are so many of those out there that are willing to assist with these initiatives. So working on making sure they know about our board and that they're, you know, readily available to participate and provide information on what services they have.
Thank you.
Anything to add? The other question, Stacy?
So the question regarding the grants, currently in the domestic violence or intimate partner violence area, we have not had any reductions, although that may occur. Funding has been released very slowly, though, is what I'd say from the state, but we are currently receiving it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, did you have questions?
So I'm just going to do my 3 minutes first. So do you have a concern that there's a threat to grant funding? And last night on the news, because today's the day we're supposed to wear orange, and I looked through my whole closet and I couldn't find any orange, but it's in my head. But on the news last night, they were saying that the average person trying to escape domestic violence makes 7 attempts before it's successful. And my background is healthcare, and I've seen people so scared to ever even make an attempt. And when I see that it went from 15 families that we're funding to 12, this is a top priority for me for how do we find the housing, rapid rehousing for the victims of domestic violence, especially pregnant and with family members. You know, how do we do that better? It's a really important part of affordable housing. One of my best friends did this counseling with victims of domestic violence, and she said one of the ways that she encouraged them to get out of it was to have some savings. Imagine how hard that is. So it's not something that the average person can solve on their own with so much control over them. And they need us, and people in this situation really need us. And I'll just leave it with this, and I do want to know if you're worried about the funding grants, losing the funding grants. But I think I told some of you before that during COVID, I was traveling, and I stopped at a Taco Bell, and we were in the restroom, and there was a very, very, very pregnant person with her Taco Bell uniform on. And they were saying, "Are you okay? You know, you don't have to work today. You're not scheduled to work today." And she said, "I know, but my baby's safer here." And I just can't speak to how important this priority is and how 12 families isn't enough. There are so many more than that. So this is an important part of affordable housing, rapid rehousing for me. And that ends my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
So to address the question about grants, are we concerned? Yes. I think that we've seen already the federal administration remove substance use grants and then rescind it within 24 hours. We do get grant funding both from the state as well as the HUD funds coming through also have domestic violence priority. So I think the next notice of funding opportunity from NOFO next year, which will probably come out in this July, that might change. So am I concerned? Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was sort of looking for the area about information. There was, on one of the slides, there was some question about the lack of marketing or communications or the need for more marketing communication. Did you get a sense from your survey, any demographics in terms of, are these seniors, are these youth, or is it just across the board in some way, so that if there is a marketing campaign, it could be targeted to whatever that gap happens to be? Other than that, thank you for your presentation. You do phenomenal work, as I shared with you earlier, and keep doing it.
Thank you, and I will look further into that question.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Leek.
Let me first say thank you for this information. Having taught high school and being involved in the community, you hear a lot of violent activities that is greater now because of information that we get and the way we get information. And it's not just physical, it can be verbal. There are many ways that people can deal with violence within the household, and many of us who work with people and come in contact with people, you can just about tell if there's some involvement. But I want to commend you on this report and hope that the information is going to be made available for the general public. How do we intend to reach our schools? How do we intend to reach our families? How do we intend to reach the general public, and especially those who are confined in prison? You'd be surprised at the greater number of those who come into those settings are captivated by those who are stronger, who actually takes control of the facility, or who comes new to a school. How do we get this information to the parents as well as an understanding with teachers and the general community? This is great, but how do we get it to those who need it the most? We'd be surprised as we look at adults and seniors, and especially for men who are business people and busy. Sometimes they don't intend for it to be, but it happens to be some means of control. That in itself is violent. So I'm just grateful that you have this, and I hope that we can, Mr. Chairman, some way get this to our non-verbal speaking people also, as it relates to the need of the support of the county with the awareness that we have. How many staff people do we have working in this department?
Stacy, you want to answer that?
So for community support services, we have, I think, approximately 159 and probably about 40 temp. Off the top of my head, I can't recall how many staff are in our prevention and intervention services, but I can get that for you.
Well, thank you so much, and not let this be the last time we see this report. Thank you.
Thank you. They come on a yearly basis to report back to us. Commissioner Altman.
Thank you so much. On page 9, the umbrella is referenced, and I remember when this was really just a twinkle in someone's eye, just a thought. So I'm really excited to see that it is going to be finished and open to the public at the end of this year. Is that right?
Yes, that's the current projection.
Wonderful. And just for those who aren't familiar with it, well, maybe it kind of says it here, but under one roof, there'll be, yeah, it does say Pat's Place, Safe Alliance, also the DA, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And any other major partners that I haven't highlighted? So that victims don't have to go around the city and county and repeat their story, which re-traumatizes and is very hard if you don't have transportation and you've got to be at work or you have a child in tow. So I'm just really happy that this is about to take off.
That was a great summary. One of the other key partners is the police department, CMPD.
Thank you. So on page 11, that was referencing the so-called Parents' Bill of Rights, which is reducing the ability of domestic violence education to reach children in the school system. And I think what I would like to ask is, could you explore with our partners over at the schoolhouse tracking when that law was passed and the level of domestic violence that's being recorded in the community, because not if, but unfortunately probably when, we can show a correlation. I personally would like to engage in lobbying efforts to our partners in the General Assembly, because I just cannot believe that I can't make some headway there. So, does that exist yet? I'm willing to try.
We would have our data, and then we can look at what we had for restraining orders and then police reports and stuff like that, and then put something together, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, Ms. Hart, thank you so much for your presentation. As has already been stated, you always do a good job in your presentation. Just a couple of things. The Umbrella Center has already been referenced, which was a concern of mine, but I look forward to it being opening as well. Just something for the board and for the manager. We've been asking for years, and now we're beginning to see the fruits of those asks, in that when these committees come before us, they come with recommendations. I'd like for the staff to be able to track those recommendations so that we know what's been implemented, what's not, why we didn't do certain things. It's a way of kind of letting them know that it's worth it for them to come and at least present that information to us. So I would love to see us track that with all of the various recommendations that will come during budget season. I had some question, and maybe I'm wrong about my numbers. On page number 3, the number of households experiencing homelessness, whether or not that was a different number for those who were experiencing domestic violence, or whether we are to assume that everybody who's homeless is experiencing domestic violence. I wanted to make sure I didn't have those numbers mixed up. Oh, yes, and there was one other thing I wanted to know. I wanted to know more about, is it Nova?
Nova.
Nova. Yeah, I wanted to know more about Nova.
Okay. So the statistic up here about households experiencing homelessness is from the Homeless Management Information System. So those are individuals who contacted, coordinated entry during fiscal year 2025. Who indicated that at some time in their lives they had experienced domestic violence.
Okay.
Does that clarify that?
Yes.
And 754 of those households included children. And do you have a specific question about NOVA?
Just in general.
Okay. Well, NOVA, New Options for Violent Actions, is our state-certified domestic violence intervention program. So state certified means that Mecklenburg County courts can refer defendants to that program for intervention. It is a 26-week program, all or nothing, so participants do have to complete all 26 weeks in order to graduate from the program and receive credit for it through the court. It follows state guidelines as far as what types of topics it has to cover and how the facilitators of the program have to be trained. It follows a group model, so services are provided with defendants who are in a group setting, and they participate for the 26 weeks as a group. There is one facilitator who's male, one facilitator who's female, so it's required that they facilitate in that way. And the goal at the end of the 26 weeks is that they will have examined the ways that they have learned about relationships during their lives, where they have picked up patterns of unhealthy or abusive behaviors, and how they can replace those with healthier behaviors in their future relationships. It is one of the very few services that we have a fee for. We are required by the state to have a fee. They don't specify what that is. Because Mecklenburg County provides this service, we are able to keep the fee as low as possible to make it more accessible compared with privately operated programs. It is $32 for orientation and then $16 for each of the 26 weekly sessions.
Thank you.
So it's a state mandate.
George, that's the time.
It's not state mandated, but it's state certified.
Let me go to Commissioner Meyer, please.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for this presentation. I know this is a tough subject, so I'm sure it's tough to serve in the committee, so thank you to all of your entire committee for doing so. Just a couple of questions on slide 10. First of all, thank you for focusing on mental health. That's a big thing for me, mental health, mental health, mental health. And I'm curious, it says support solutions to mitigate wait times. What are the wait times now? And what do we provide now? It says subsidies to provide additional counseling sessions. Are we doing that now, or would this be something completely new? I have one more question. And on slide 16, the whole communication and making and the awareness, is this CSS's budget? Is this part of your budget that you have to, or is this PI? Is this the whole thing? And what are we doing now? Because it doesn't seem to be working. So many people don't know what we provide from the county. Those are my two questions.
Sure. So the subsidies for counseling sessions is not something we offer now. That's something that, for example, Pat's Place Child Advocacy Center does through their chat collaborative. But it is just an additional idea for how to expand accessibility to therapeutic services. And as far as wait times for services, that depends on staff capacity and client demand. The children's wait times have actually improved quite a lot. Those started to build at the start of the pandemic and stayed high throughout. At one point, we were at about 9 months. So 2 is actually the lowest we've been since the pandemic, and that's because of various staff strategies and using interns to try to supplement our services there. And then as far as the awareness, our public information office is excellent about working with us to advance awareness how we can, come up with ideas for social media, billboards, the existing resources we have. I can't speak to their specific budget for it, but they are a really strong partner.
Okay, and I just want to give my vocal support to anything that can help children receive the services they need, particularly mental health. I'm all for. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It goes without saying, thank you all for your service in this area. I want to signal my support for, this is the kind of affordable housing initiatives that I feel is a proper place for the county to be. I am super disappointed that $336,806 only serves 12 families, where it used to serve 15. I get it, but I'm just like, dang, we have got to keep up somehow with this. 15 is already a pretty low number when you talk about the numbers of people who are in need. But so to lose ground even in these small numbers, I just want to signal my support for when we talk about affordable housing, this is an area that I think is a place that the county ought to be in. I also want to just mention, the Love Speaks Out program. I know we had a presentation just last week about that, which I think is fantastic. And as far as the law, I forgot what law number it is that y'all mentioned, where less kids they have to opt in. Are there numbers, do we have numbers around how many folks we're able to reach with our program, before and after this bill? And I also want to signal my support for any kind of way of getting subsidies for children for counseling. So I just wanted to get all of those things out. But I know you probably don't have numbers about the how many people we're able to reach after the bill. But if you can get back to me, that would be awesome. Oh, you do have it?
We do have it.
Look at you.
We don't have it here today,
Oh,
but we
okay.
have all those numbers, and I will get that to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That
Thank
concludes
you.
my comments.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Ms. Hart, that was always a great job what you do, and we certainly appreciate it. I echo the sentiments of my colleagues here. Excellent presentation, excellent recommendations. I want to piggyback on something Commissioner Dunlap said, Mr. Manager, because I do think that is critical, not just in this space, but as we move forward. I think for every board to understand that we are taking these items, and I know staff does track them, but I'm not sure how much it bubbles back up to the board for us to get that visibility, so I would double down on that. The second thing is, I would certainly double down on what Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell said with respect to affordable housing and us being in that space. I would just add to it that I like our whole comprehensive package with respect to affordable housing. I think this is an important component, but I still want us to, my posture would be to maintain what we're doing, but making sure that, for me, it's a both and. Just to add to that, and certainly we'll have additional conversations moving forward. So thank you all for your work, and certainly to our staff. You guys are rock stars.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I just want to add, since it's come up twice in the comments, I do feel comfortable saying that the recommendations brought before you from your advisory councils, whether you receive them in a formal presentation or when they submit them to you in writing, they carry a lot of weight in terms of what ends up in the recommended budget, but certainly we'll go back and get this specific information. Of course, we're not able to afford to fund everything, but what we are able to fund, a lot of it is what has been presented to you either in this type of setting or in written form.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Manager, to that point, maybe there's got to be a mechanism where when they come back to report, there's some way that we get it. A lot of times we're getting that yearly report, so maybe there's a way that they can highlight what they recommended last year and then
incorporate that.
You know, what the outcome was from that may be possible. So we'll see.
We'll certainly take
Thank
that
you
into
for that.
consideration. Next, Mr. Chair, I'm going to ask that you recognize the representatives from the Park Recreation Commission to present their budget priorities.
I think we know Mr. Kaiser and team. Now, Kip, we're going to need you to speak up now. Don't be shy, that's right.
Is he ever shy?
No, that's the point.
No, I'm not shy. Maybe this will be a little bit fun today. We're aware, we thank you for letting us be here. We get to meet a couple of times a year, and this is very important to us to be able to tell you what we've got on our mind, and we really appreciate it. We're very much aware of the financial issues facing you guys, and I personally watched probably a good bit of y'all's retreat, so we're aware of it, and some others did too. I'd like to turn this over to Cowden Rayburn. He's going to start out. He's our secretary, and let him get going.
Right, so as Kip alluded to, we're aware of budget constraints and we're not asking you to wave a magic wand at us. What we are proposing here are our priorities and a reallocation within the existing budget as we understand it to suit those priorities. So here's a snapshot of what we're recommending. We'll go into each of those priorities in detail, but if you want a cheat sheet, here it is. These priorities are developed by us after conversation with our advisory councils, with the public and our neighbors, as well as with staff. We have a lot of great constructive conversations with staff leadership, as well as folks all over the Park and Rec staff spectrum, from rangers all the way on up to senior leadership. So that's where these are coming from, and after many hours and many meetings of discussion. Number one, to put it in Kip speak, fix what is broken first. So our number one priority continues to be funding adequately reinvestment and maintenance projects. These are projects that are under $250,000. So these are things that you commonly hear complaints about, like broken basketball hoops or broken benches or silt on trailways or poorly marked signage. We would like to see more funds allocated towards this bucket because it is a key priority for us. It's what we hear often about. It's what we are seeing in the community. We have a lot of great parks. Our parks look excellent. However, we feel strongly that we need to dedicate more dollars here. Ann?
And again, to continue in the KIP speak, they are not making any more dirt. The PRC unanimously and strongly recommends a resumption to the prior year's budgets of $50 million annually for land funding. What we don't recommend is the reduction to $30 million. And again, we do recognize the challenges budgetarily that we are facing here, and we'll address some of the reallocations that we recommend later. The cost of land, I know, is no secret that is increasing exponentially in Mecklenburg County year to year. But CIP projects can be deferred, and available land is rapidly disappearing. The Charlotte Regional Business Alliance projects that by 2050, some 4.6 million people will be living in this region. And during my time on this commission, the land acquisition team has never been fully staffed. This continuous reduction of land, this impedes our ability to compete for land in a timely fashion. One of the things that we recommend is the addition of a third-party broker to effectively and efficiently compete for land purchases. And I will concede my time to Brad.
Yeah, that's okay. I've learned a little bit of government speak, so I sent my guys out to do some reinvestment and change the oil on one of my track hose. And we needed a new set of hydraulic shafts on it too, so they did a bunch of reinvestment this week. So I use this reinvestment, and I've tried to use this language in what we're trying to present to you today, the reinvestment thing. We recommended at our 2025 annual report to you a establishment of a expanded reinvestment. And this is kind of trying to give an off-ramp for some smaller projects in case we can't continue with the big ones, but it also has a purpose of recognizing that we once had some in 2021 and 2022, some equity-funded projects that were smaller. And many of you have been to these dedications. I like going to dedications and watching all the happy faces when you do these things. But there was an equity funding situation that we'd been through some tough times, and you guys set up a fund for $2 million one year and $5 million for another. And they called it equity. And the situation was basically did 11 projects, which should be on one of the slides somewhere coming up. You might have it in front of you. But there are 11 projects, about $850,000 were some of them. Enderley was one. I think Albemarle Road was one. But there were several, and they got us through. And so we suggested now setting up this expanded reinvestment project account for $5 million a year. And project planning would start immediately at the date of funding. Projects would take no longer than 2 years to complete. Basically now we're looking at 5 to 8 years to complete the CIP projects. Park and Recreation staff surely has a list of these smaller projects. In fact, Bert Lynn made a cameo appearance a while ago, and I asked him, I said, you got a list of these things? And he said, absolutely. So they've got them. They may not have them as a list that's a formal reviewed list, but they've got, the staff's all over there. They got all kinds of things that they could do that would equal into these expanded reinvestment projects. Call them equity projects, call them small projects, but they're $250,000 to $1.3 million. We've got, oh, you got your chart, okay. The size, again, would be a little bigger than what we call the deferred maintenance or the reinvestment projects for maintenance. They'd run from the $250,000 to $1.3 million, but that's not an exact thing. I think Enderley wound up being $1.3 million before it was all over. But that's kind of the range of the projects that would come up, and I'm not suggesting what they would include. Staff knows that. Necessary planning, and we've had this comment presented to us by staff. Who's going to build them? Well, we're going to have to hire a couple of people to handle those, and that would come out of the $5 million annual budget. So it wouldn't be adding 2 more head counts to it. It would come out of that budget and included in it. This set of projects, expanded reinvestment, is not to be confused with what we traditionally have called deferred maintenance. So we don't get confused with that. Deferred maintenance or just plain reinvestment. These are totally 2 separate propositions, and we've been doing the deferred maintenance at only around about $4 million a year, and I think Brad's going to talk about that in a minute, but that's not to be confused with this. So we have an issue of we recommending the deferral of traditional CIP projects, and that would provide funding if necessary. We've got a lot of long-range CIP projects. We also have a rolling CIP process, and I don't think we've used it yet. We've talked about a few things, but I don't think we've used it. That would be a source of funding if we had to. We're unanimously, as a PRC, convinced the need of these small projects to exist to provide what one of our staff members call instant gratification. That's a lot of words, but it's the folks know when you get it and they're not waiting 8 years for it. It's kind of what it is. It's something you can put your hands on. We'd like you to renew the emphasis on priority communities. That's not to say we hadn't done stuff in priority communities. I just want that to continue as an emphasis. Everyone needs a great park. Now we got Brad Chambers up.
Thank you, Kip. Number 4 isn't quite as cost-heavy as some of these others have been. I doubt anyone around the table knows my background, but I, in a prior life, had 30 years as a Parks and Rec director. So, and I say that to emphasize what I'm about to say here, which is that the PRC stands 100% behind the programming, the administration, and the managerial efforts and improvements that Nick Walker has made since he's been on board. I know a little bit about Parks and Rec management, and I've been very impressed with what Nick's done. I think we all can say that, and that's the reason that the PRC unanimously stands 100% behind what he's doing and continuing to do. We've read and discussed his presentation, and we're waiting for the cost information, but we're confident that that will be something that we stand behind as well. As in the past, the PRC is asking for funding increases in both programming, staff, and resources for children and for seniors. The demand is there, but not just the demand, but the opportunities for outreach. Just like Kip was talking about a little while earlier, a lot of the opportunities for outreach are in those equity parks, in those underserved parks that we have the opportunity to actually get out and serve kids that may not be able to get to a facility or to a building. Camps sell out many times the day they open. So as soon as registration is open, they'll fill, and then the demand is so much greater than the capacity to offer. And that's what we want to do, is to continue to expand and improve programming initiatives across the board. Priority number 5, safety and security. And it's really hard, I think, for us to say that these are priorities 1 through 5. There's like priorities 1, A, B, C, D, and E, and honest. But we're asking for 6 additional park rangers, $300,000 annual increase for more hired security. The best deterrence to crime in any park, anywhere, any plaza, any public space, is having people using the park, because it drives the bad influences away. And if I had my glasses on, I could see this better. The best way to encourage people to use any park or greenway or facility is to see police and park security and park rangers, which give residents a feeling of security and safety, and therefore they're more likely to use those parks. The PRC has asked for more rangers in the past. That need for more rangers remains unmet, but continues to increase as greenways increase, as the number of parks increase, as improvements to parks increase. The need for additional funding for park security continues. This would result really in a win-win-win. More security encourages more usage by law-abiding citizens. It results in less usage or misusage by anyone wanting to do harm to people and to park property, and it decreases vandalism, which decreases the need for maintenance and repair. And I'll turn it back over to Kip to wrap things up.
We've got, we gave you a cheat sheet at the end of this presentation. So Toastmasters always said you should tell them what you're going to tell them, then you tell them, and you tell them what you told them. So you got another cheat sheet just back there.
Is that it? Good to go? All right.
Your fancy picture up here.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Team, what we're going to do, I'm going to start with Commissioner Dunlap, and then we're just going to work our way around. Same rules are in effect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, I have to admit, I meet with a lot of people. One of the best meetings I've had over the last year was a meeting with Kip. Had an opportunity to talk about a lot of things and better understand what he was trying to present on behalf of the PRC. And so I hope staff will give serious consideration to his recommendations. But of course, as has been stated, in order to fund them, then there has to be some reduction in some of the things that we're planning. And so the statement about driving people to the parks to increase safety, that's a programmatic issue. And I look forward to that happening. I have seen some of the programs that Park and Rec has put on over the course of the last year. I'm very excited about what's to come. I think our staff has done an awesome job in doing that. But I like that notion of driving people to the parks so that you can drive out crime. And then lastly, with these recommendations for parkland, I've often wondered, and one of the reasons I was hesitant about this increase in parkland is having all of this land available and nothing on it. So I'm just curious, how do you guys feel about acquiring land that might not see any development for 10 to 15 years?
And this is your vote.
I'll speak to it. Well, in the words of Chris Matthews, what the Park and Rec Commission, or what the Park and Rec staff does is allow the land to speak to them about what it needs to be. I think a number of considerations are taken into account when they're evaluating that land, whether there would be compromised species, or whether there would be topography issues, or where the location is. Of course, where the location is becoming less of an issue as the population increases exponentially here in the county. But for it to sit vacant for 10 or 15 years may be something that a parcel is meant to be, or a land preserve. You know, having recreation on a piece of land doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be developed. It can be nature trails, because studies, especially in the Japanese, have done extreme studies on how this experience with nature reduces anxiety, reduces the need for mental health, and increases the well-being for our residents.
Thank you.
I want to give you one other view. Is right now we're having some budget issues. We're sitting there trying to cut back on what we're building. The developers aren't cutting back on the land they're using. And having the ability to purchase land for some future use is real important, because we don't think it's going to be there. That's kind of where I come from.
Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you very much. I just first want to say thank you all for, one, showing up today to show your support for this. And I know you all believe in it, heart and soul, and showing up every month for your meetings and showing up to ribbon cuttings and so on and so on. You guys really are dedicated, and I just want to be the first to say you guys are the very best that we have. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your work. Really, to staff, I support what they say, and we need the land, and we need this. But what I really like about their recommendations, they give us a way to find some of this money, and it's decreased by $3.10 million from the CIP. And I'm curious from staff, from Mr. Manager, is that something that is actually on the table? Is that something that we look at all the time? It is a rolling CIP. Can this change?
This year, everything's on the table.
I'm sorry?
This year, everything is on the table. I do appreciate the commission coming forward, just like you, with an option for consideration, and we'll take a look at it.
And I know we talked about, and there are things that, you know, we've discussed about taking off and combining, and so I do hope that we are looking at that seriously, because we are in trouble out there. There is no more dirt. We're not making dirt, and I mean, that's actually kind of a funny statement, but it could not be more true. So I support you guys, I support your recommendations, and I appreciate your work.
Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really do appreciate how you guys came up, how you created this proposal and how you went through point by point. The part where you say you recommend an immediate increase to 10 million annually, we do not agree with decreasing budget amounts from 7 million to 4 million. So just remind me, did we have 7 million the previous year and then we went down to 4 million? Is that what it was? Because I can't remember.
I think what happened is they traditionally put in a standard $4 million over the last years. 2 years ago for FYE 2025, you guys in the straw vote, I think, and I watched it, added the $3 million because we continued to make the argument that we needed more in that account.
Okay.
And this year, in our year end in 2026, it's back to $4 million if I'm not correct.
Okay.
Before
she dings me,
we said going from 4 to 10, that's a $6 million, and that's what's showing up here.
Okay. Before I get the ding, let me just also say the funding, the equity funding, where so it's showing 2 million for 2021 and 5 million for 2022. And is this? I literally can't remember. Did we have nothing for 23? Like since then, has there not been an equity? Let's hold that question. Put a pin in that. And I also support this idea that we got to have more spaces for kids. It can't be like a Taylor Swift concert. That we got to have more programming. So that that's really important. I just really want to support that idea. And then where you say please don't ignore the request for security, I wanted to just, if you could expand on that a little bit more. What have you asked before, and what's transpired there? So hopefully you remember all those things I just asked before the bell.
So I think the equity funding, I'll defer to Deputy Director Cook, but I think that funding, we switched funding models, and so that account wasn't in subsequent years. Deputy Director Cook, am I correct on that? Sorry, Peter.
I was worried there wasn't staff at all.
Good afternoon. So we've had $4 million in our capital reinvestment funding on those. Over several years, we've had ARPA funding, we've had CIP funding, one-time funding, so we've been able to put dollars in at various times.
Mm-hmm. That's speaking to the 7 million to 4 million? Okay.
We're not doing follow-ups.
Oh, it's not a follow-up. I wondered which question he was answering, because I didn't know if that was the equity one or the...
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
So I'm not going to get my answer.
Can you guys address her other question, please?
The equity funding.
The equity funding, I don't know exactly how it was categorized. Sometimes the names change to protect the innocent kind of deal. Let's just go with the CIP started about that time too. And I think things went into the CIP that theoretically possibly would have gone into those equity type accounts, but they said we've got the CIP, and those are a lot bigger projects. There aren't really, sometimes there's a $2 million project in a CIP, but that typically will be design and not a project, exactly. Just getting ahead of it so you got design. But those are symbols of the kinds of projects that we would like to do in those areas, and that's why we put that chart up, because each one of them was a pretty big deal for the residents in those locales. I know Enderley was, and we were out at the Albemarle thing, and there was a lot of happy people there. They kept talking about how many things that they'd been waiting on this forever, and it wasn't a huge redesign or reconfiguration. We made the most of what the money that was given to us back in those equity projects. And it may have started out at 850, but I swear I think it went to $1.3 million.
Did you, that was it? Okay, Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Kip and team. Good to see you all. So I'm going to go quickly too, because I know our time will end. So I appreciate the distinction between the deferred maintenance and the versus the reinvestment. What I want to know, and I know that we got an updated list of the maintenance. Once those maintenance jobs are done, you know, there's a projection of the cost, but what happens to the actual cost? Do we ever get an update on this was completed and it cost X amount of dollars? And if there are savings, usually I'm sure there probably isn't, but if there are savings, can it be applied to the next priority project? That's the first question. Secondly, do you have anyone that is looking at private partnerships that would be able to fill in the gaps of the things that we can't do as a county? I understand they're not, you know, maybe not to the extent of helping us purchase land or anything like that, but to the extent of helping us to improve some of our programs. And with that, talking about the programs you mentioned for the seniors and the children, if we're all gonna have to now be more intentional and tightening our belts. So it would help with the equity if there was, when you say strengthening programs for seniors, which programs, where are they, in what districts, at what centers, so that we can then go back and report to the community in the districts where we represent that, you know what, we funded this program or added this program for seniors and children. So I'd like more detail on where the intentionality is so that we can actually say we're contributing to the equity. And then there's some of the land that we've owned, and this one just keeps sticking in my craws ever since I learned about it, the Whitewater Center and that piece of land. And now is not the time for freebies. So is there any way that we can go back to them, renegotiate contracts, and get some revenue streaming from that, that land that the Whitewater Center is using that is ours? Because they're profiting, they're benefiting, but the county and the residents are not, even if that means, you know, the District 2 residents get something out of being able to go to the Whitewater Center, something.
So to the maintenance and do we have a way to keep track of costs, I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure that there is an internal mechanism for that. And I know that speaking with folks in the Park and Rec department, the folks who are actually doing the maintenance, they are fiercely protective of their maintenance budget. So every dollar they don't spend on fixing this bench is a dollar they can commit to actually fixing the toilet paper holder in this shelter over there.
And that's fine. I just want to see it.
Yes, we'll work with staff to get that to you. On the public-private partnerships, that's something that I'm particularly passionate about. I think the rest of the folks up here with me are particularly passionate about. We have no shortage of fantastic private groups that Park and Rec partners with. Just to name a few, Partners for Parks is incredible, Charlotte Junior Soccer, Myers Park Junior Little League Baseball, Dilworth Little League, South Park, you name it. I mean, there are all these folks out there that are programming our spaces, and they're not just using our space, they're committing capital dollars to our spaces in order to make them better. So you have folks out there who are edging ball fields, you have folks who are laying sod, you have folks who are helping fix drainage issues. There are hundreds of thousands of dollars a year pouring into our parks from private partnerships, from folks who are trying to help maintain these assets because they use them and they recognize what a public good they are.
Is that reflected?
Excuse me, Commissioner.
It is.
Time is up. He can answer, but your
I'm
time.
sure we can get information on what those dollars look like and what that impact looks like, but our Park and Rec staff is fantastic at interacting with those groups and those various stakeholders.
What about the rest of my questions?
They can answer your questions, but you can't follow up. We got to, I'm sorry, because you know what? You weren't here in the beginning. What I told everybody was that we get 3 minutes. And so just like I cut Commissioner Dunlap off, I cut Commissioner Rodriguez McDowell off. So they can certainly answer your questions, but there's no follow-ups. So if you all could address her questions, and if we can get to it rather rapid fire so we can get to the rest of this, it'd be great.
Gotcha. Another answer, another partnership that we hope to further and explore is a partnership with CMS. We're told that there's this agreement that's been in the works with CMS for Park and Rec to hopefully help improve and program some middle school and other fields in partnership with CMS. I'm extremely hopeful for that to finally get across the finish line, because I think that would bring a lot more space online. It would be a release valve for significant constraints that our folks, that our programming is facing, that our kids are facing, because they can't get time to practice, they can't get time to have their games. They can't do any of that without CMS helping them out. So there's a real need to push that agreement forward and get that over the finish line. It's been in the works for 2 years now. We just need to get there and get it done. I think that addresses all your questions, but I will.
It does, and I'll follow up later.
Sounds good.
Mr. Powell.
Okay, I'm going to talk real fast, so don't answer my questions until after the dinger. But first, number one, thank you. Thank you for your work. You're a really important part of democracy. We have this infrastructure of Park Commission and all of the advisory councils that serve under you, regional advisory councils and specialty park advisory councils. So when it comes to us, you are representing the public, and I really appreciate your work. If you don't feel appreciated, just keep calling us, because you are appreciated and we are listening. And so I can tell from the presentation that you have listened to the community about what is important. I don't know if any advisory board or advisory commission hears from as much of the community as you guys, because Park and Rec touches everything, from homelessness, like we have homeless people in our parks, to mental health, we have suicidal people in our parks, to emergency shelters, to emergency management, to Monks for Peace. Park and Rec touches so much, if not everything, of the county. And so when I look at the presentations and everybody thinks that these are big dollar amounts, the Park and Rec Commission has considered that. And while they look big, they're small compared to the needs. The needs are much bigger than what the asks are. And so I appreciate that they thought about how, what is upon us in the budget, and made the recommendation as reasonable and balanced as they can be. And I support all of these. I do have a question about, and I don't want to lose our momentum. We have done good work, and it is true. The needs get greater and greater every day, not less and less. Two things that I've noticed that is sad, the incivility that is happening in the world. And so when you ask for more park security, park rangers, I'm all for it. My concern is the incivility that's happening, and how does the county commission address that? Because I'm seeing so much incivility toward Park and Rec staff and toward solid waste staff. And it is wrong, and we need to have a civility policy. And my question is on the programming. I don't know the programming that the director is recommending. I'm happy that you guys stand behind it. I hope there's more camp programming. I'm concerned about it, that it was all gobbled up within 3 minutes. That's what I'm being told. Within 3 minutes, all the parks were full. And so I've heard from the community, I've heard from you guys, people want to see different kinds of camps, music camps, culture, arts, nature education, biodiversity, seniors, and therapeutic recreation. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Griffin.
Don't start yet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wrote down a couple of notes real quickly on the reinvestment piece. I understand you say that deferred maintenance was not a part of this. I guess that's functional minor wear and tear. But this listing, I would assume, is not fully usable or damaged, unsafe or hazardous, and older than whatever number of years that's consistent with failure for normal use. And these parks would fit those latter three descriptions? If so, clearly that would be a priority for me, and I hope for everybody around this table, if they're not able to utilize these facilities as they were designed. The second piece, and I say this again, Southwest Mecklenburg County colleagues, you know, I'm talking about this regional rec center at a time when we are talking about, you know, really dire times for our financing. But probably about 5 years ago, before I got on the board, there was a committee in the Still Creek area, and they had worked with the Y. They were going to build a YMCA on Still Creek near South Tryon to provide a recreational facility for residents in that area. That fell through, and that property where they're going to build a new Y is now probably 200-300 homes in that space. So the development in that southwest corner of Mecklenburg County, from Lower Still Creek all the way to the county line, is really booming. And there ought to be some sense for us whether you put the land on layaway, whether it's 10-year layaway, 5-year layaway, but at some point, a regional rec center certainly would be a plus in that area. And I don't mean a plus as a luxury, but as a place for youngsters to play for different recreational activities over the summer as well as year-round. So you're going to continue to hear me talk about Southwest Mecklenburg County, but just want to circle back to make sure that I understand these equity projects is not just mere deferred maintenance, but are projects that mean that people cannot functionally use it the way that they were designed. And if so, that ought to be a really, really priority for this board. So I'll stop there. And how many seconds I have left, Madam Clerk? I got 22. I'll keep using my 22. Southwest Mecklenburg County is on our GAP map, and I asked about a map earlier, but Southwest Mecklenburg County has big spots where they say this is GAP with the MEC playbook, and I think we ought to at least try to address that before it's untenable, because they are going to build all the way to the South Carolina line in Southwest Mecklenburg County. Time's up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the answer there.
Excellent use of your time. Thank you. Commissioner Lee.
Thank you. Let me first say thank you for your total membership being here today. And that will have an impact on what we do, I guess. I went down the list of what we say when I'm looking at increase, and decrease. How did you come up with your askings for increase, and where those increases going to take place, and your decreases?
The increase came from the $6 million that we added to reinvestment, or really didn't defer, that's a bad word. Reinvestment's confusing, but that was for our reinvestment account increase that we recommended from what traditionally has been the $4 million to a $10 million. The $5 million which add to that came from this expanded reinvestment account for these small projects. That gives you 11, and then we're asking you to fund land at 20, and that gives you 20 more than to get back to where we've been, and that gives you 31 million, and then we ask you to cut 31 million from CIP programs, or use the rolling CIP to adjust. We're not telling you how to do it, not telling the finance folks how to do it. I promised Dina I would not come up and tell her how to finance her company. So I did that, and that's up to them. But that's the numbers where we got them.
And this will take care of the land and number of people we have in Mecklenburg County?
That takes care of the delta between the 30 that we've been hearing about and 50. We've been doing 50 for several years. and this is, then we hear about the 30, and this is the 20 that gets you back to 50.
Let me say, I'm hoping that's clearer for the general public and for myself to understand what you're asking us to do to make it equitable across the county.
So these dollars would be deployed according to the MEC playbook, which has a focus on gap areas, priority communities, which are by our current metrics underserved. So these dollars would be spent in an equitable fashion in order to address, areas where we have gaps in services and parks, all those sorts of things.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Altman,
You can let me give me time to say thank you.
we're moving. They heard you.
I am so appreciative to y'all who are long toiling in the space. It's in campaign season, and so field all kind of questions from the public. And one thing I kind of hear is people are worried that decisions are made by individuals who don't have a subject matter expertise, who are running for office, who get elected. And that's a fair statement. And that is why you are so important, because you have put the extra time in by the hundreds of hours that I have not. And I have a great deal of gratitude and appreciation and respect for the work you've done. I also appreciate you trying to identify cuts to fund your higher priority, because that's the hard part. We can all say what we want. It's much harder to say what we're willing to give up for what we want. So thank you for doing that. I'd like to say that, we've discussed, you heard from our retreat, that the manager has been charged with building the budget from the ground up. And you may have heard it said that everything's on the table. I think you may have actually said that again today, and I agree with that. Does that mean we have to reassess plans we'd previously made inside Park and Rec and outside Park and Rec, including CRCs or other things? I don't know, but I am open to try to maximize the good for the community without raising the tax rate. I would like to have the staff address the part about land acquisition is still not fully staffed, and that a third-party broker is needed to efficiently and effectively compete for land, because I have heard that concern over the years, and I just want to address it in public so that we can all have more understanding about it. And I would like to know around the equity funded projects. When we're talking about equity, we're talking about parts of the county that have been historically disinvested in. I want to make sure that's what we're referring to, because that's very important to me that we meet that obligation, because reducing racial disparities is one of our top priorities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Altman. With regards to your inquiry with regards to staffing as it relates to land acquisition, I have heard those comments in the past. I heard and received what they stated today. I have a different optic and perspective than theirs. I would love to learn more from how they are making their assessment with regards to we're not meeting the needs or not able to do. As you know, today we presented in environmental leadership. We're moving at rapid paces as it relates to land acquisition. The dollar allocations that we have had been allotted, each year we have spent them in its entirety. We have rollover things that are in the queue. So from year to year, we have managed effectively with regards to the funding that has been provided, the acreages of land that has been acquired as well. And the other thing that I would, yes, staffing, they've had maybe one person or two persons that have not been in staff, but that doesn't mean that the work hasn't gotten done. And so the work has gotten done. They also did some efficiencies of maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. They refined their process. We talked about that today in order to expedite things in a more expedient way. There's express lane and there's some other things. So I don't have anything based on the data that I have that demonstrates that there is a problem with regards to us acquiring land. Now, the one other thing I will note is purchases such as things for greenways. Many instances, those are easements that have to be acquired from homeowners, and so that takes time and negotiations. And the last thing I will note is just in acquisitions overall, sometimes we're acquiring stuff that's on the market, sometimes we're acquiring stuff that's not on the market. And when you're acquiring stuff and having engagement with potential landowners when their property is not on the market, it doesn't mean that it's going to close as expediently as you wanted to do that. But I would welcome learning more from the PRC with regards to what optic they're seeing. But from what I see on my end of the fence and or my colleague, Deputy County Manager, Chief of Staff, Derek Ramos, I just don't think that's there.
So let me say thank you so much for the presentation, your partnership. A couple of observations I want to make. I think the way that you approached this, Kip, I want to say thank you for your leadership, and to the entire team. The way you approached it this year was helpful for me to get I think it gets better every year. And I appreciate the conversations. That's number one. Number two, from what I've heard from my colleagues during the retreat and now, it appears to me everybody's heart is in the right place. No question about it. We know that the needs are great, not just with Park and Rec, but with our other areas of responsibility. And you all are our advisory board. So you advise us. It's up to us to either take it. I mean, the manager will make a recommendation, but we will, take that or make adjustments. And based on what I've heard at the retreat, what I'm hearing today, that straw vote is going to be very interesting because it appears we want to fund a lot of things with very limited resources. I think it's important to set the right, to level set the expectation, knowing that we're going to have to try to stretch a dollar like it's never been stretched before. But this is great information to help us get to that. We appreciate it, and we know that there'll be additional discussion, so thank you very much.
I got one comment to finally make, and that's dealing with, we've had these meetings with this company called Agency about a playbook refresh. We're probably going to do some more. Am I right, Peter? It'd be good if y'all come, but it's going to be a little bit frustrating because hundreds of people come in there and all they got on their mind is more, and they won't. So we're doing them. We know the issues are out there, but that's frustrating to us knowing that we can only afford so much. And just want y'all to know that, but there's going to be a couple more. I think Susan called me about one, and I think Elaine's called me about another one. I think they're going to be in the southeast, maybe one, and in the north, another one, but they are very interesting to see what the folks want. Yep. And what they want may not we can afford, but that's the way it is.
Yep. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the time, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
So, Mr. Manager, give me 1 second. So,
Yes,
colleagues,
sir.
just so you know, we've got 2 additional items. It's after 4, so just keep that in mind as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. Thanks, Park and Rec Commission. Mr. Chair, I just want to remind the board that, because you're going to be hearing from other advisory councils coming forward, this is your advisory board in different areas. And in the past, we have solely allowed the advisory boards to present to you their recommendations and certainly have staff respond to your questions as well. However, when it relates to staff's perspective, we tend to stay away from that because this is your opportunity to engage with your board.
Sure.
Now, certainly if you want to move in a different direction, because Dr. Leslie Johnson was spot on with her response to that question, but typically this is your time to hear the recommendations and priorities from your advisory board. And again, if you want to do something different, that's okay, but I just want to remind you of that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Manager. Appreciate it.
The third item on your agenda, I'm going to ask Deputy County Manager Chief Derek Ramos to tee this up. Also, I want to point out that this is in response to conversations I've had with some board members as well as community leaders regarding our RFQ and RFP process for capital projects. So with that, Deputy County Manager Ramos.
Good afternoon, Chair Jarrell, County Commissioners, County Manager Bryant, and members of the public. My name is Derek Ramos. I'm Deputy County Manager and Chief of Staff, and today I'll provide the board with background and context to help frame our presentation on the Construction Manager at Risk and Architect Selection Minority Business Enterprise Participation Report. As the county manager mentioned, individual board members have requested to receive data and information related to the Construction Manager at Risk and Architect Selection process utilized by our Asset and Facility Management Department, or AFM. Specifically, questions have been asked regarding the ability of minority business enterprises, or MBEs, to compete in the process at the prime contract level. In response to these inquiries, the former county manager communicated to Chair Jarrell and Vice Chair Altman in March of 2025 that AFM had agreed to track the following 4 metrics related to the Construction Manager at Risk and Architect Selection process. First, the number of minority firms that submit proposals. Second, from those firms that submitted proposals, the number of minority firms that are selected for interviews. Third, from those firms interviewed, the number of minority firms awarded contracts. And finally, fourth, for those minority firms not selected for interviews, the reasons they did not move forward in the process. At that time, AFM staff's intent was to provide these metrics to the board in a written form on a biannual basis with data beginning from March of 2025. However, after consulting with County Manager Bryant, I have worked with AFM to develop a more comprehensive evaluation to include MBE data from the prior 2 fiscal years to help establish a baseline from which to compare any future data and metrics. I also asked our Office of Equity and Inclusion to serve as an independent evaluator of AFM's selection process and to participate directly in multiple shortlisting and selection committees to ensure our processes are fair for all vendors. So the purpose for today's briefing is to provide the board with its first Construction Manager at Risk and Architect Selection Minority Business Enterprise Participation Report, which will explain the criteria used for the shortlisting and selection of firms, as well as the data on the participation of MBE firms at the prime contract level for fiscal years 2024 through 2026. In addition, AFM and Office of Equity and Inclusion staff have developed recommendations to help improve the county's selection process for all vendors, including for MBE firms and firms partnering with MBEs. I will now introduce Mark Hahn, Director of Asset and Facility Management, to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Commissioner Jarrell, members of the board, and County Manager Bryant. In our presentation today, I'll be describing the selection process and the criteria used for both the shortlisting and the final selection for construction managers at risk and architect teams. I want to clarify up front that we'll be talking specifically about minority business enterprises, or MBE, involvement, again, at the prime contractor level. And by way of example, this is where the construction manager at risk or architect team is either led by a minority-owned firm or the team is led by a non-minority-owned firm, and then they're bringing along an MBE partner on their team. Those are kind of the 2 categories where we're having MBE involvement at that level. So for a construction manager at risk teams, I just wanted to give you some examples. An example of an MBE-led team would be like R.J. Leeper Construction. I'm sure you're familiar with that name. They may either be partnering with another contractor or they could be submitting alone. An example of a team led by a non-MBE lead and an MBE partner would be Edifice Construction partnering with All Pro Builders, or Rogers Builders partnering with R.J. Leeper. So just give you some examples so you can kind of level set and put some names with teams. There are many others. Those were just examples. It's important also to draw a distinction because the current Business Diversity and Inclusion, or BDI program, for the county sets goals for MWBE subcontractor participation. So that's a totally different thing, and I don't want to get the two confused. There is not a program or goals for MB participation at the prime contractor level. So this looks a different thing we're looking at today. I will be presenting, as Derek said, detailed project data for MB participation at the prime contract level for both selection types from FY24 actually through the second quarter of FY26 or December 26. So we've got 2.5 years worth of data. Sean Carter, as Derek said, will be describing their assessment of the process and presenting their observations and findings. And I didn't change the slide. There we go. I was actually working my way through the agenda without the slide up there, so there it is. Sorry about that. Then we'll actually be ending with joint recommendations for improvements to the process from both the Asset and Facility Management Department and the Office of Equity and Inclusion. Again, joint recommendations. So that's what we're going to be talking about. First, I'm going to be providing a brief background on the request for qualifications or RFQ process, including the typical makeup of the shortlisting committee and the actual selection committee. Then I'll talk about the criteria used in both the shortlisting phase and the selection phase. The process used for the selection of both architects and construction managers at risk is nearly identical, and both are governed by the North Carolina general statutes, which require a qualifications-based selection process rather than a fee-based process or bidding. This is not bidding. For all selections, the shortlisting committee includes county staff from the Asset and Facility Management Department and the Business, Diversity, and Inclusion Division of the Office of Economic Development. This committee uses consistent criteria to determine which firms are best qualified and should be shortlisted for interviews. 2 to 3 teams are typically shortlisted on each project for interviews. The actual makeup of the shortlisting committee is typically composed of the AFM director, myself, or a designee, a BDI representative, the AFM division director of design and construction project management, and the AFM senior project manager and project manager who will be overseeing the project. The voting members of the actual selection committee now, this is the one that does the interviews and the ones that y'all are on frequently. Those are defined by board policy and include the following: at least one BOCC member who must be present at the interviews, although 2 members are typically invited to participate, the county manager or a designee, a licensed general contractor appointed by the board, the head of the agency or a user group representative for whom the project is being designed and built, and the AFM director or a designee. The board policy for architect selection is included in the appendix at the end of the presentation slides if you're interested in looking at that. And that is the same policy that's used for construction manager at risk selection. Next, I'll discuss selection criteria, starting with the shortlisting process. The criteria is listed here in priority order, starting on the left side. The most important criteria of all is whether the teams can demonstrate that they have past experience with a specific project type. We want architects and contractors who are familiar with the design and construction of the building type that we need. For example, if it's a recreation center, they need to demonstrate experience with the design and construction of rec centers as opposed to some other project type. The next most important criteria is that key team members proposed for the project have actually worked on similar projects for the similar projects that their team submitted, actually. The county is looking for subject matter experts who have designed or built this specific building type. This is where we can determine whether the submitter is giving us their A team or maybe something less. We want their best people with the most experience and expertise for the project type. The next criteria is BDI compliance. Each team is required to submit an inclusion plan for the project. BDI staff will determine whether the submitting teams have been responsive to this requirement. Additional consideration may be also given to MBE-led teams or non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner. Each team must also demonstrate technical knowledge and management expertise for the type of project being designed or built. This is typically demonstrated through their project approach or methodology, including cost estimating and scheduling expertise. Teams also need to demonstrate past experience with the construction manager at risk, also called CM at risk, delivery method. If the lead partner on a CM at risk project has never before designed or constructed a building utilizing this delivery method, they would not likely get shortlisted for interviews. We also look at the team's past performance on projects, including the county's projects or other clients if we know about those. And if they have performed poorly in the recent past, that may impact their ability to advance for an interview. Moving on to the interview process that's shown on the right side of the slide here, all teams that make the shortlist are considered to be well qualified based on the aforementioned criteria. Once they make the interview, they're all equally and well qualified. That is, they're capable of doing the work, and they're considered equal with no ranking going into the interviews. Consequently, more nuanced criteria may be considered during interviews to distinguish the teams for a final selection ranking. For example, local knowledge and experience could play a role in the team's ability to work with local regulatory agencies. It may also impact whether the lead team has relationships with local subconsultants or subcontractors in the case of construction managers at risk. Sometimes interview performance may be indistinguishable. I know you've all been on a committee and we might have two really good firms and it just feels like they're equal. We're not even sure which one to select, and no team's clearly being the best. In that case, whether or not the teams have ever held a county contract or how many county contracts they've had may be considered. This could be an opportunity to try out a new team and expand the availability of qualified contractors for the county. And finally, the current workload of the team may be considered. If they already have ongoing county work, how available will the key team members be for this project? To add more context to the shortlist selection criteria, I'd like to share a couple of hypothetical examples. First example deals with the criteria for a team having past experience with a project type the county is having designed and constructed. Let's use a recreation center that has a pool as the project type. With the specific need for a pool, aquatics experience is a critically important issue for this project type. On the left side of the slide in our example here, we have team number 1 that did not get shortlisted for interviews. They submitted 2 recreation centers, which is the correct project type, but neither similar project had any aquatics in the scope. So they didn't really demonstrate past experience designing or building pools or aquatic facilities. They also submitted a government office building and a public safety facility. Often they do that to try to show that they have worked on government projects. But neither of those have any similarity to a recreation center. Specific requirements of a rec center versus other project types could include the design and construction of a fitness area, a gymnasium, elevated running tracks, locker rooms, and other specialty spaces that require that specific expertise. So that's why we're looking for that. On the right side of the slide, we have team number 2 that was successful in getting shortlisted for interviews. They submitted 2 recreation centers as well, but both with pools. And they clearly demonstrated past experience with our exact project type. They also submitted a YMCA with a pool, not a government project, but almost exactly the same project type. The last similar project submitted was a university athletics facility with a pool. Again, very similar. So every project this team submitted was very similar to the project that we will need to be designed and constructed. The next example deals with the criteria for key team members having past experience with the project type the county is having designed and constructed. We'll stay with the rec center example with a pool, just to make things easy here. And in this case, though, we're going to be looking at the key team members to demonstrate that they have the past experience and expertise we need for designing or constructing our project type. Because you're really not hiring a firm name, you're hiring people to do the work. So you've got to make sure that they've also got the experience that you need. On the left side of the slide, we have team number 1 that did not, again, get shortlisted for interviews. For this example, team number 1 did not submit they did submit recreation centers with pools, so it's the right project type as their similar project, but no proposed key team members actually worked on the similar projects they submitted. Consequently, they did not demonstrate that the people they are submitting to work on our project have the proper type of past experience and expertise to design or construct a recreation center with aquatics. On the right-hand side of the slide, we have team number 2 that was successful in getting shortlisted for interviews. They proposed key team members such as a project manager, maybe a design architect, a construction superintendent, or a pre-construction manager that played significant roles on the similar projects they submitted. Consequently, they were able to demonstrate the people they are submitting to work on our project do have the proper type of past project experience and expertise. Now I'm going to move on to describe the steps in the selection process. This is a flow chart showing the process from the advertisement of the request for qualifications, or RFQ, to BOCC consideration and approval of the selected firm. The first step is to advertise the request for qualifications. The advertisement usually allows about 30 days for the teams to prepare their submission because it does take a while. Then the submissions are received and distributed to the shortlisting committee. That committee, the shortlisting committee members then individually review and evaluate the submissions. After that, the shortlisting committee meets to share their evaluations, discuss the strengths and weaknesses of the teams, and select the top 2 to 3 most qualified teams for interviews. For the interviews then, we shift to the formal selection committee per board policy that I mentioned earlier. The committee interviews the shortlisted teams and selects a top-ranked team and an alternate. Finally, AFM prepares a request for board action for approval of the top-ranked firm and an alternate. The entire process generally takes a little over 3 months to complete. At the request, again, of the former county manager, Derek talked about this a little bit. We began tracking the data in third quarter of 25 and then went back further. So once again, 2.5 years of data. First, I'm going to show construction manager risk selection data, talk about that a little bit, then I'll follow that with architect selection data. So this one's going to be a little tough to get through. I seem to be drawing some of these with my different presentations, a lot of numbers here. But I'm going to try to give you some examples and have you see some of the calculations just to better understand it. I won't go through all of them, but I'll highlight some. So starting with the construction manager risk selection data, this chart provides information on the team type of the submitting team, submittal phase data. I'm reading across the top now, if you will, shortlisting phase data, and selection data. There were a total of 8 projects with the construction manager risk selection during the time period, the last 2.5 years that I mentioned. So if you look at the first column on the left, we've organized the submitting team types into 3 categories. The first category is MBE-led teams. Second category is non-MBE-led teams, but with an MBE partner. So those are the 2 that have the MBE involvement at the prime level. And then the third category is a non-MBE-led team without an MBE partner, so no MBE involvement at all in that third category. In the second column, you'll see the total number of teams that submitted in each team type. Then the third column is simply the percentage of submittals by the team type. For example, in that first column, 7 MBE-led teams submitted qualification statements. If you divide that by the total number of 49 teams, shown at the bottom of that column there, that indicates that 14% of the submitting teams were MBE-led, as shown in the third column. Staying on the top row of numbers and moving to the shortlisting phase, which is represented by the brown columns, brown or orange, I can't tell which color that is, you'll see that 2 MBE-led teams met the qualifications criteria to be shortlisted, so that was 10% of the total of 21 teams that were shortlisted. 9 non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner were shortlisted, so that was 43% of the total of 21 teams that were shortlisted. So if you look at the sum of those 2 team types, 9 plus 2, 11 teams with MBE involvement at the prime level were shortlisted out of 21 teams total that were shortlisted, which comes to 53% of the teams with MBE involvement being shortlisted. Moving to the selection phase, which is represented by the green columns, you can see that for a total of the 8 projects, 13% were awarded to MBE-led teams, and 50% were awarded to non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner, for a total of 63% of all selected teams having MBE involvement at that prime level. The light blue columns to the far right provide financial information showing the contract amounts for the different categories. Looking at the percentages in the first two rows of numbers, you'll notice that the 24 and 59% sum to 83% of the total contract funds going to teams with MBE involvement at that prime level. Okay, now I'll give you some relief of looking at all that. This next slide summarizes what we just looked at, some of the key highlights from the data collection shown on that last slide. The first green section titled Submittal versus Selection, the data shows that MBE-led teams comprise 14% of the total number of applicants, and this team type was actually selected for projects in 13% of all the projects. The non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner comprise 39% of all applicants and were selected in 50% of all projects. And the non-MBE-led teams with no MBE partners comprise 47% of all applicants and were selected in 38% of all projects. The next section in blue, titled Shortlisted Teams versus Selected Teams, shows that the percentage of shortlisted teams by team type that were then awarded projects. So now we're comparing the amount shortlisted to the amount selected. This data shows that 50% of shortlisted MBE-led teams were selected for projects. That 44% of shortlisted non-BE-led teams with MBE partners were selected for projects, and that 30% of the shortlisted non-MBE-led teams with no MBE partners were selected for projects. At the bottom of the slide is summary information about total MBE involvement at the prime contract level. Kind of mentioned this before, but just to reiterate, the two team categories of MBE-led and non-MBE-led teams with MBE partners comprise 63% of all selected teams and accounted for 83% of the awarded construction contract dollar value. So next we'll talk about, same kind of information, but we'll talk about the architect selections. Here we go again, I hope you're ready. I'm not gonna do it quite as much intense this time, so this will go a little faster. This chart's organized the same way as the other one that I just presented and addresses the same time period from FY24 through the second quarter of FY26. I think you'll notice that the architect teams have lower percentages than the construction contractors did in terms of MBE involvement at the prime level. That said, the percentages of firms submitting, getting shortlisted, and being selected are fairly consistent as related to the percentages in each phase. This can be illustrated by looking at the first row of data where we see that the MBE-led teams are 15% of the total submittals, then 18% of the teams are shortlisted there, and 18% there's 18% of them that were total of selected. Similarly, looking at the second row of data, you'll see non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner account for 7% of the total submissions, 4% of the shortlisted, and then 9% of the selected teams. Moving to the far right of the chart with the financial data, there's a total contract amount of 46% associated with the first two types of teams with MBE involvement, and 54% of the contract amount associated with non-MBE-led teams with no MBE partner. Summarizing some of this data and the key highlights, in the first section entitled Submittal versus Selection, the data shows that MBE-led teams comprise 14% of all applicants and were selected in 18% of all projects. Non-MBE-led teams with MBE partners comprise 7% of all applicants and were selected in 9% of all projects. Then non-MBE-led teams with no MBE partners comprise 78% of all applicants and were selected in 73% of all projects. In the second section titled Shortlisted Teams versus Selected Teams, we see that 40% of shortlisted MBE-led teams were selected for projects. 100% of shortlisted non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner were awarded projects, but that was actually only one team that was shortlisted in that category. And then 36% of all shortlisted non-MBE-led teams with no MBE partner were selected for projects. The final section shows the two team categories of MBE-led teams and non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner comprised 27% of all selected teams and accounted for 46% of the awarded design contract dollar value. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the top 3 reasons that MBE-led teams did not make the short list. The number one reason, and this goes back to the examples that I gave earlier, involves experience with the project type and the team's ability to demonstrate that similar project experience. I provided examples earlier about how critical that experience is. A team may have excellent experience in design or construction of, say, office space, but if the project in question is a recreation center, that firm's experience with office space just won't be relevant to the current project. A second top reason MBE-led teams did not get selected is because the key team members they proposed for the project did not demonstrate alignment with their similar projects and did not demonstrate personal experience and expertise with the project type. The final reason, past performance, comes into play if we have a track record with a firm where they did not perform well on a recent project. This slide is similar, but we're talking about the top 2 reasons or top 3 reasons that non-MBE-led teams with MBE partners didn't make the short list. And there's a lack of key team member experience in the project type and a lack of similar project examples shown in the submittal. So some of the same reasons really on the first 2. I won't go into that in much detail since it's the same. The third reason involves the team's current workload with the county. If a team already has numerous projects with the county, it could limit their ability to perform and possibly stretch the team too thin. Also, if one team has had or currently has numerous projects with the county, it may simply be time to provide opportunities to new teams and spread the work around and increase the pool of qualified firms. Next, we'll hear from Sean Carter, Director of the Office of Equity and Inclusion. But before it begins, I want to personally thank Sean and his staff. They invested numerous hours participating in and evaluating the selection process from beginning to end, and I just want to say kudos to them for their help with that.
Good afternoon, Chair Jarrell, Board of County Commissioners. Good afternoon, County Manager Bryant. My section summarizes OEI's observations and recommendations from our participation in recent architectural and CMAR solicitation processes. The goal is to highlight what's working well, where consistency can strengthen fairness, and to clarify any ambiguous outcomes. Over 6 weeks, OEI participated in multiple stages of the solicitation process, including proposal reviews, shortlisting interviews, and follow-up discussions with AFM leadership. This gave us a full end-to-end view of how the process functions in real time, not just how it is designed on paper. Our goal was to observe how the process functions in practice and identify opportunities to reinforce equity and transparency. But we were not flies on the wall. We engaged fully in the process, we asked questions, and were a full member of the review process. So what follows is a synthesis of those observations. And this overview is meant to set the stage for a closer look at our observations and how we arrived at those shared recommendations. We did not experience this process as uniquely unfair. However, we did walk away with some key observations. We observed that the structure of meetings varied based on the facilitator, which influenced the flow and clarity of each session. While all tools and matrices were available to all the project managers, they weren't used consistently across teams. And despite these differences, fairness was usually upheld largely because of the individuals in the room, their commitment to equity, and how intentional they were about equitable participation and outcomes. These observations point to opportunities to strengthen consistency without disrupting what was already working well. And I will note that the recommendations that we were making in real time were implemented as we were going. It wasn't just a wait until this process happened for us to implement the things that we identified as best practices or ways to improve the process. They were observing and following up with real-time recommendations, but you'll see the summary of those recommendations at the conclusion of this presentation. Overall, the process was fair, the selections were well-reasoned, and we could reconcile how we arrived at certain decisions. However, those differences in facilitation style really stuck with us. And what also stuck with us was tool usage and the evaluation approaches, how we can create uneven experiences for both reviewers and vendors. So increasing consistency would help ensure the process feels not only predictable and transparent, but also aligned with board and county priorities. And with that being said, standardizing tools and facilitation protocols would reduce the variability and support a more uniform approach and experience. Secondly, clearly communicating these key selection criteria both to reviewers and within the RFQ would help ensure alignment and reduce ambiguity. And I don't mean to bury the lead of what's to come, but I think it was important that OEI engage in this process, and also OEI stand firm to remain open to participating and engaging with this process as it goes forward. And then lastly, I want to thank AFM as a partner for welcoming us in, allowing for us to provide that real-time feedback, engaging with them. I want to thank our Office of Economic Development and the Business Diversity and Inclusion team for their expertise in this process and allowing for us to engage in this way. I certainly yield to them when it comes to how to do this work. But as a neutral body coming into this process, I thought it was important that we engage in the way that we did. And I want to thank Amanda Joyner from our team for participating in the interviews, because I think her insight was uniquely helpful as we engage in this process. And at this time, I want to invite Mark back up so we can share the recommendations collaboratively.
Thanks, Sean. So the next two slides will show the combined recommendations of Sean's office and AFM to improve the process and potentially increase MBE participation at this prime level. There are recommendations for improvements to both the request for qualifications or RFQ document itself and then the process for shortlisting teams, as Sean had mentioned. Regarding the RFQ document, the first recommendation is to inquire about the submitter's MWBE record by requesting information on their past and proposed MWBE partnerships at the prime level and emphasize this in different sections of the RFQ. Previously, MWBE information has been requested only at the subconsultant or subcontractor level following the BDI provisions. So again, this is a new twist, a new thing to put in the RFQ. This change will emphasize and request information, again, at that prime contractor level. The second recommendation is to ensure that submitters clearly understand the county's selection criteria, and in doing so, to include an appendix in the RFQ with best practices that have been used by successful teams in the past. These best practices include highlighting MWBE participation with a focus on opportunities for mentorship and capacity building, again, at the prime level, not subcontractors. Submitting demonstrated experience with similar projects and submitting examples of built work versus planned work, and submitting key team members that are directly aligned with the similar projects being submitted. These last two bullets are simply things that I mentioned earlier, but it's writing them down and telling the proposers, this is something you need to be looking for and stuff that we're looking for. So it'll be putting that down in writing to help them. We'll also provide information on how teams can request a debriefing if they were not shortlisted or not selected, and then the reasons for those outcomes to help them with their next proposal. Revisions to the shortlisting process to ensure consistency, as Sean mentioned, among the projects are also recommended. To ensure consistency in the way submittal data is evaluated, revisions will include using a standard agenda and protocol for every shortlisting meeting, and using a standard evaluation matrix showing the submitting team's qualification information, as well as having the AFM project manager present this matrix to the committee members at the beginning of the shortlisting meeting before group discussion starts. Revisions to the protocol for evaluation by the shortlist selection committee include having AFM share any special project considerations to the shortlist committee prior to the shortlist meeting. So as an example, this might be very specific project criteria, such as what I mentioned earlier about the need for experience with aquatics within our recreation center, and just making sure that all the shortlist committee members know about that. It could involve medical facility design experience for a CRC if we have a clinic in it. So some of those very specific things that we need. We'll also have BDI present their evaluation of each submitting team's MWB inclusion plan after the AFM project manager shares the submittal data on the standard evaluation matrix. So that's putting that a little earlier in the protocol. And finally, each individual committee member will share their individual evaluation and selection preference prior to open group discussion. So that concludes our presentation, and we'd be glad to address any questions that you might have.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment?
Please.
In response to some of the conversations and meetings I've had with other companies, conversations I've had with members of this board, when I received this briefing, and I'm going to ask that Mark and Sean keep me honest here, one of the many takeaways that I had, particularly as it relates to the concerns expressed to me, and I give you an example. Let's say that Company A has bidded on project number 1, and that Company A has assembled a team to complete that project. Moving forward, that same company bids on a similar, the exact same project in a different location of the community. If that company, that same company, put together a team that does not have relevant experience, just because the same company built it, but the team does not have the experience, that eliminates them from consideration, or can eliminate them from consideration. The team agree that we have to do a better job communicating that, but that answers a lot of the concerns and feedback that I received from the companies that I sat down expressing their concerns with our existing process. So I just wanted to offer that up as you begin your Q&A session.
That's helpful. Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you all for the work and the presentation. Colleagues, before we open it up to questions, there's one thing I want to do. Well, there are a couple things I want to do. We have questions, and we're gonna need more runway on this one, because what I'd like us to do is be laser focused on the feedback, number one. If there are specific questions, please tee those up, or if there are other recommendations, let's get those out. So we'll give a little bit of runway. I'm going to ask us again to be respectful of one another and not one individual dominate. And if we have to go offline, please follow up offline with staff and the manager. But before we get to the questions, knowing where we are with respect to time, can I get a motion for us to be able to extend the time for a minimum of 45 minutes?
Motion to extend. I make a motion to extend the meeting for as long as we need it.
Second.
Moved in, seconded.
Can I make a substitute motion?
All right, so we got a substitute motion.
How about if we could skip the commissioner reports for this time?
You would still need to extend, though.
But if we extended less time, would be better than 45 minutes.
I second that substitute.
And I third it.
So maybe we could say
Well, it's been
5:15
moved.
instead of 5:45?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's been moved and seconded, so to 5:15. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. Okay. Even if we would have extended longer, if we didn't use it, it didn't matter. But, I mean, that's the way I was thinking about it, but nonetheless, that's.
Questions do not need to be We're talking about this information that they just dealt with us, that we have not read over.
We're getting ready to go into that now. I just wanted to get I wanted to get the meeting extended first.
Okay.
And now we're going to go into the questions. So thank you for the substitute. All right. This way we'll do it, guys. I'm going to start with Commissioner Altman. We're going to work our way to the left, and we'll end up with Commissioner Dunlap.
Well, I really look forward to my colleagues' input here because I'm trying to parse what I'm hearing and sort of get to the net. I think what I'm interested in is that, what is the totality of county contracts on an annual basis?
That's a tough call. I mean, I have to go into finance and look at it, but it can easily be, $100 to $1 million a year in terms
Right.
of encumbering contracts, or even more.
Right, hundreds
It's
to
hundreds of millions, yeah.
millions of dollars a
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
And we want to be a part of the solution of building up intergenerational wealth and bringing small businesses into the process, and contractors of color and businesses of color that can enjoy and thrive with the rest of the community that seems to be doing so well. And, you know, we know that implicit bias is everywhere. It's in me, it's in you being not you personally, but anyone within the sound of my voice. You know, we're all at risk of not being totally conscious of the ways in which we may not be giving everybody the same level playing ground. And so I appreciate what we're doing here. And, you know, I think one question I would have is, how is the city of Charlotte doing? You know, are their metrics better? Because it does seem like we're really, it's hard to get at the right process to do this well. And I'm just wondering, you know, peer organizations, have they had a greater success? I'm sure you've surveyed what they're doing, and that we are doing as well as anybody, but I still want to ask the question. And really, I guess on page 11, I would like to know that green box. What is that story that's telling us there? That's really what I would like someone to help me understand. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll start with, I do not know what the city of Charlotte does in this way, because I'll mention again, a lot of these programs are flowing down from state requirements, so there is no statutory authority or requirement or program that has you tracking this MBE involvement at the prime contract level. There definitely is for subcontracts. So I don't know if other people are tracking it or not. Like, we just began, as you heard, tracking this recently. So we'd have to check into that more, or, try to benchmark that to see if anybody else is even tracking that. I do know that our BDI office will look at that at the end of a year in terms of just total participation that gets included, but it's not tracked along the way in terms of, the selections. The green box on 11, this was the FY, let me just try to bring a slide up. So this was the summary of the construction manager risk, and it was simply comparing the number of each team type that submitted to those selected. So I realize it's kind of confusing, but in that box we were selecting, here's how many submitted, here's how many got selected, and the percentage of those. Whereas the blue box was doing the same thing, but it was comparing, here's how many were shortlisted, and then how many of those got selected.
Just because I'm out of time, but what is the story it's telling me? What is the takeaway?
So the takeaway is looking at the percentages of MBE involvement, and what does that look like to you? I believe in this one, we said, if you look at the very bottom, that there was 63% of selected teams had that MBE involvement. So to me, that's saying we're doing pretty decent in terms of there are more teams with MBE involvement than without that are getting selected. That's your judgment to make, but that's a pretty high percentage.
Thank you. Commissioner Leek.
Did you call my name?
I did.
That's what I'm worried about.
You want us to come back to you?
Please do.
Okay, Commissioner Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first, this is about process. And as our vice chair talked about a little bit, what's the results in terms of what does the picture mean? First thing, thank you all for unanimously supporting my motion over a year ago for the board, for the manager to come up with a policy for MWBE. So hopefully at some point we can have another discussion about that piece so that the board can have a policy. Griffin and Strong, the disparity study that the commission authored twice, said the board needed to have a current policy where the administration would come back on an annual basis to give you a more in-depth piece, not only about process, but also about results. So that's one piece. The second piece I'd have my questions for this process question would be, given the minority partners, what's considered a partner? I've served on a committee a couple of times when the presenter said, we're 5%, well, maybe 10% between the two, majority and the minority person. So is there a standard range to be considered a minority partner? Can you be a partner at 5%? Can you be a partner at 49%? What do you mean by partners? And on page 11, you said 83% of the awarded contracts. Can you break that up between the MBE-led team and the non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner? And 83% comes out to be $172,654,538. So what portion of that was MBE-led, and what portion of the 172 was non-MBE-led, but with an MBE partner? So the two questions would be, what the heck does partner mean to you guys? And of that second piece, where 83% of the constructions were awarded to MBE or MBE-led, can you break that down to get some clarity or transparency of the 83%?
Yes, absolutely. I'll start with the last question first. So if you look on slide 10 and you look at the first row for MBE-led team, at the very right-hand side, it says that that was 24% of the dollar value went to MBE-led teams. The next row shows that 59% went to non-MBE-led teams with an MBE partner. So that's your breakdown that you're looking for. Those two numbers equal the 83%.
Okay. And partner?
Regarding partners, so that's a really great question, and we've seen pretty much everything across the board, and it's completely dependent on who that partner is and what their capabilities and size of their construction company is. So let me give you a couple examples, because these vary widely. I'm going to start with when R.J. Leeper is a partner. So Rogers Leeper, there have been other contractors that brought them along too. R.J. Leeper is not a small company. They're one of the largest, MBE companies, construction companies in at least North Carolina. So they would go into a partnership very high, more than likely, because they have lots of capabilities, lots of bonding capacity. In fact, on one of our projects, they led and brought another contractor on as the partner. They were 51%, and Edison Ford was 49%. But let me go back to your example. The other extreme, and maybe one that I've talked to you before that you might be more interested in, is a smaller minority-owned company that maybe is just starting out or has not been in the business real long, and they need help. They need mentorship. In a case like that, they're not going to have a lot of bonding capacity, and they're not going to want to put as much financial responsibility into it. And it also then is the capabilities of their staff and how they contribute. So from that kind of information, how many staff they're going to put on it, what are their capabilities, how much time will that be, they develop those percentages. And it also depends on the workload of that company. So we've seen lots of different variations, and we've asked that question in the interviews, and we usually, that's the kind of answer that we get as to why they're at a certain percentage. The stronger and older the company that's the partner, the more percentage they're probably going to be able to take. But it also depends on their workload and how many jobs they have. So then you'll see, in terms of the form of that, it can be a partnership or it can be a joint venture. We haven't really seen a big difference. Like the percentages still are going to vary, based on what I just said. I would not recommend trying to dictate that, because if you do, you're going to be holding out a lot. Like if you try to make that very high, you're going to be holding out smaller firms from being able to be a partner, because they won't have the capabilities to have that opportunity then and be a part of it.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you. So I appreciate the last few sentences that you said, because we have to make sure that smaller business has the opportunity. And I'm thankful for so many things. I'm thankful for, since the day that I was sworn in, that it has been a priority to reduce racial disparities. And I've seen it happening, like it's unfolding, and especially in these meetings where we're doing the architect selection. And I love that you read our priorities before every meeting, because you have to have them in your mind. And when we're in those meetings, I represent the priorities of the board, and we have made differences. And so when Mark, first I just want to say thank you to Mark for all your hard work, and thanks to Sean. Sean, you're so valuable in helping us realize this priority. Like, you add such an important dimension to helping us realize, it's not easy, and how we do it has to be smart. And so we're expanding capacity, but we're also expanding opportunities for everyone. And we have to be somewhat nimble with smaller businesses, because there's such a need. And it just goes to show that, like, people are complaining to the county manager because they're so used to getting it. They're so used to getting it and so used to winners take all. And it can't be winners take all. We have to create new winners. And I feel like we are part of creating new winners and expanding capacity. And I just want to say I'm really proud of that. I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thank you so much. I have an abundance of questions that I know I'll probably have to just follow up with you later on. Thank you both for the information. Sean, I echo what Commissioner Powell just said. You do an excellent job of synthesizing the information as well. You talked specifically about how you utilize the information and the consistency of it. So my question, I have 3 questions. One is around the feedback. When you're giving the feedback, are there opportunities for technical assistance for them to say, now, next time I know I can do better so that I can become a prime? How do they become prime if there's varying criteria, and this instance it may be this and that? Do you give them enough specifics to understand what it is they need to improve in order to become shortlisted next time? Is there any detail in that? In addition to that, is there maybe a score given to them so that maybe they can say, okay, next time I'm going to reach this goal? And in pertaining to goals, how does this coordinate, how is this implemented within our SMART goals that we're setting? Are there goals for improving? If so, over what year? What barometer are you using to measure this? What organizations, what company, what county? Also, minority, is that disaggregated for race in addition to women? Because, it has been known that white women, because they qualify as minority, will get opportunities, whereas maybe a minority, a racial minority or ethnic minority may not get that opportunity. I think that's it, and the rest I'll just follow up later.
Okay, I'm going to try to get as many of those as I can. I'm going to start with the most recent one. You mentioned minority, and I do need to clarify that we're not talking about women-owned businesses in this particular context. So we do very much so have goals for minority and women-owned businesses in the subcontractor situation where we have the BDI provisions, but we were asked only to track MBE for the purposes of this discussion. And one of the reasons for that, I think, is if you go back and look at the disparity study, it showed that the county was doing very well with women-owned businesses in construction contracting and that type of thing. So I think it was less of a concern in that arena in terms of women-owned businesses. So we are focusing on minority-owned businesses. Regarding SMART goals for this, we do not have any because we just began tracking it, not that long ago. So the other thing is control and our ability to control this. I can't I can only invite, I can only tell people what we want to see. I cannot make them bring it to the table. I don't have direct control over it. So it would be difficult to set a goal and be sure that I could meet it or be able to control it. All I can do is try to put the information out and encourage and incent to some level. I can't even read my own writing here. One of your other questions was about technical assistance and feedback. When firms come in or teams come in for a debrief, we are telling them a lot of what we've talked to you about today. We're telling them what they need to do, what successful teams need to do to get selected and get shortlisted. We talk about a lot of comments that we've heard commissioners make in interviews so that they know that the team that they bring needs to be diverse and that everybody that is on that team standing up there in front of you has a speaking role. So we give them helpful hints, all kinds of things, as best we can to make them successful. The key is whether or not they listen to that. And we've had some companies that we give this feedback to, and then we get a submittal from them 3 months later, and they made all the same mistakes like they just didn't even listen to us. So again, hard to control that.
Can I ask something?
Please.
So in addition to that, when we were looking at feedback and technical assistance, one of the prisms through which we were looking was this whole notion of how do you provide the support for the next time? Particularly when we knew that there was a number of applicants or solicitors who were either ruled out of the process because they didn't have similar experience to like projects. And oftentimes, if that is the reality, it's hard to break through, particularly if you never get the experience, then when will you ever break through? And so being more specific in that feedback so they can either come in as a partner or understand that that is one of the criteria that is being used to evaluate, it just gives people a better understanding of what projects to bid on and or how to get into the process more cleanly.
Yeah, I need to make a very critical clarification here, I think, related to when we're looking at qualification statements, you're really looking at the lead team mostly. The lead team, so if it's a non-MBE team with an MBE partner, the MBE partner likely maybe has an assistant, a CM at risk, has an assistant superintendent, they might have someone on the pre-construction team. These are not the major key roles necessarily. So if someone fails to get shortlisted, it likely has nothing to do with the MBE partner at all. We're looking at the lead partner. They're the ones that are putting most of the qualifications on the table. So I want to just make sure it's understood that people not getting shortlisted is typically not because of the MBE partner. It's because the lead team didn't have the right experience and expertise either in the similar projects or the people that they put on the project. So that's a key distinction and something that I don't think people think about too much unless you're actually doing this and looking at the submittals.
Was that all the questions?
Just real quickly also, MBE partners aren't usually coming in for a debriefing. It's that lead team that comes in and gets the debriefing, and then we can tell them where they had weaknesses or strengths or whatever. If it's an MBE-led team, then everything applies again because they're the lead team. But there are not as many of those, quite frankly.
Got it. Thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
Okay, thank you. I just want a couple of just observations. This team is really makes me happy. I love how you guys presented this and how you work together. And Sean, you mentioned, and I think this was fantastic, that that there were real-time adjustments being made when you saw things that you thought needed to be changed, that they were actually changed in real time. And I really would expect nothing less from the county, and I'm really glad that you highlighted that. That's fantastic. So I don't really have any questions. I just appreciate this work. I feel proud of how I've been here this whole time participating in these meetings, and I really have seen a progression. And so I'm grateful for the work that we've been doing there. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Meyer.
Thank you, both of you. I agree with Susan Rodriguez-McDowell. Really appreciate the way you guys presented this. And I've been in so many of these interviews, so many, and have been always impressed with, the focus that we have on hiring an MBE firm, but also understand that through these meetings, all these interviews I've been involved in, there is a lack of firms out there. And so I remember specifically a conversation with you, Mark, about the mentoring program, and you mentioned it somewhere in this presentation. But is there ever a resistance on either side? Do they have to enter into the program on either, the mentees and the mentors? Is it working? Do you feel like it's working? When did it even start? And so are you finding, what's the percentage of the mentored firms submitting proposals?
Yeah,
And basically, is it working? Are we seeing progress there?
It's definitely working, and we are definitely seeing progress. With CM at Risk, for most projects, you don't even see anymore a non-MBE partner without an MBE partner. It's rare now. Almost all of them are bringing MBE partners along. A certain project type that may not be the case for some reason or another, but generally speaking, we're seeing more and more of that. Architects are a little bit harder to do that. A lot of them don't come in for the debrief, so we don't have a way to kind of tell them. This best practice idea with the RFQ will help that, because we're literally going to be able to kind of write it down of kind of things we're looking for in that mentorship and the MBE area, so that can help. Anytime we debrief an architect or they just come in and are interested in county business, we talk about this. We talk about what it takes to be successful in getting a project, and we talk about MBE involvement and partnership at that level.
Well, I really appreciate the county being open to looking at new practices and doing better, because we can always do better. So thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Griffin, for getting this off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dunlap.
Thank you so much for this. I've been looking forward to this. Let me start with the end. The recommendations in both areas, I want to see them implemented. That answer, I wrote down all these questions, and these recommendations answered many of the questions, but I do still want to point out a couple. On page number 15, the current workload with Mecklenburg County when a non-MBE-led team with the MBE partner that is currently disproportionate share of the projects. One of the reasons why they didn't make the short list, I don't know how you do it, but an MBE team ought to know that somebody has all these other projects in there and are using them to get a project, and then they subsequently get disqualified because they're teamed up with somebody who already got a lot of work with the county. I don't know that they know that when they do that. I don't know how you address that. But I think the bottom line is that the things that we're trying to get at are things such as on page number 13, when you look at the disparity in terms of the amount of money allocated between the MBE-led team and the other non-MBA-led teams, we're talking about $9 million difference. And that's what creates generational wealth. The other thing is that the percentages are kind of misleading in that, and I'll use page number 10 as an example. One MBA-led team, 7 submittals, 2 shortlisted, 1 got the award, 50% did. Those numbers, that 50% number looks a lot better than the 30% number or the 44% number, but look at where the money is. And so that's really what we're looking at. And so I think that the answers that you gave, the recommendations, will help with those areas, because that's where my concern is. And I just think that those recommendations being implemented will make all the difference in the world. And I'll start with one thing that somebody always said to me when we went into these sessions, everyone with a lot of experience started the same place as the guy who has no experience. And so that should be taken into consideration.
We'll address the one question I think you had, which was about county workload and how would an MBE partner know whether or not the lead firm has had a lot of jobs or not. That typically doesn't come into play until the interview. I mentioned that if everything else is indistinguishable, and you all have heard me talk about this in interviews before, if we can't quite decide or they're pretty even, I might say, well, this company's never had a job with the county before. Do you want to consider that? You might not. But my point of saying that is that kind of decision is usually made at the end, so the MBE partner would have gotten all the way to the interview with them. We don't use that criteria real early on usually. If a team is qualified completely across the board, they have the right people, the right similar projects, then they will make the short list.
Yeah, I can't say nothing now. My bell on pad.
Everybody gets a follow-up on this one.
I do. I just want,
You want to follow?
just one thing. If there is a way to tell an MBE, listen, the guy you partner with has 10 projects with the county. The likelihood of them winning is slim to none. You might want to reconsider. Because those people, those MBE companies, firms, they're going to say they got rejected. I understand why they got rejected, but they're not going to look at that unless they know up front there's a strong possibility I'm not even going to get shortlisted if this company already has a lot of work with the county.
Can I say something to that? And this is where I'm going to ask Mark to keep me honest. But from my recall, a similar concern I had was with that, right? But what I think I remember seeing was that sometimes that MBE firm showed up as the partner on multiple proposals.
They do.
To at least satisfy some of that. So if you get someone that's eliminated by, basically what it is hedging your bet then. Because if you have someone that's going after, that has 10 contracts, and their likelihood is diminished because of that, it's important that you understand that, to your point, so that you're partnering up with multiple entities so you're not boxed in to just one organization or one vendor and then miss your opportunity.
So the consequence of doing that is, and you guys stated it here tonight, is that when you start mixing up partners and experience with you're hedging your bet because the same players are not involved in every project.
Right. No, you're exactly right.
Hey, team, let me bring some to our attention. It's, I've got 5:13. We said we'd go to 5:15. We haven't not heard from Commissioner Leak, and we haven't heard from me. So what is your pleasure at this point?
Move to add 15 minutes.
No,
Move
we're
to
gonna,
keep on going.
well, I would say let's allow these two to have their say and then the chairman make his final comments.
We need more time for that.
Motion.
5:15.
Well, yeah, the time, but we don't have a set time. When they finish, we're done.
Do we need to make a motion for that?
So let's do this. You know what we'll do?
That commission,
That's what I was going to say is, let me get a motion just to extend for Commissioner Leak. We'll cut it at that point, and we'll circle back up.
No, we need to hear your take on that, yeah.
It's just,
Can we, let's say 10 minutes then?
Yeah,
10
absolutely.
minutes
Even
max.
15 minutes.
I would say 15.
Yeah, I have no
we
trouble
get a motion
staying
for
as
that?
long as possible.
Yeah, so move.
Then seconded.
As long as needed?
All those, 10 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. So
Don't
we're
you leave
going to
so
go
I
10.
can talk to you.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner, so we can knock this out.
My question is, with this information we have here, can this be used in any setting where we're interviewing people to get contracts?
Not sure I understand your question exactly. We definitely can use the information that we talked about as recommendations to enhance our process that would then, help people in interviews to get jobs. So definitely using these recommendations and implementing them, and we're already implementing them, we hope will help increase NBA participation at that prime level.
That helps me with this.
But not for all contracts, Mark, only for these types of contracts.
Correct. It's only the CM at risk and the architect contracts we're talking about here today.
Say that again, sir.
It's not for all contracts, Commissioner Leak, it's for certain
Not all-
types of
right,
contracts.
I
it's statute
I
out.
understand that. But if it's similar, we can use this.
I'm not sure what similar means, but you got to meet the statutory definition for the type of contract, which is referenced here, contract for CM at risk. Certain types of contracts
Types of
meet that
contract.
definition.
Thank you. That helps me.
Okay, okay.
And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, I appreciate that. So Commissioner Dunlap brought up a good point about us dealing with the policy piece here on that last page. We haven't.
What page?
On page 25, if you go there.
Oh, I have it circled.
Was this an ask for us to take action, or what? Help me understand, when you go to page 25 with the board policy for the selection of architects and construction managers at risk, is this currently?
Sorry, no, this policy is only right now about the makeup of the selection committee. So no, we were just giving you this report as information, not to change the policy or anything like that. This policy does need to be updated a little bit based on the last time Tyrone came to you.
Yeah.
Because you'll notice it says 2 Mecklenburg County Commissioners, which technically now we only need, that should say 1.
Yeah.
That's the main difference, I believe.
All right, I'll come to you, George, in 1 second. Let me just ask him some. Well, no, you go first, and then I'll wrap
Well,
this up.
the point I was making is that I've never seen this policy. And I chair for 6 years. I've never seen this policy, because had that policy been in place, then I would have been obligated to follow it. And so I didn't follow it, and I made decisions as necessary because I never knew there was a policy in place. And for me to see that, I got concerned. And the other thing is that if this is in fact the policy, then the chairman needs to have some latitude in this rotating basis, because sometimes people aren't available, sometimes at the last minute, and we've all experienced that, where people can't show up. I just frankly think it's too rigid, but I never knew that policy ever existed. So can somebody tell me the date that it was adopted?
So this policy has been around, I think, with the county as long as I have been, so over 33 years. And it's been revised a few times, the last time in 2017. And this is information, I'm like, the policy looks a little different, but at the bottom of it's got the dates of revision and all that, but this is exact words from it otherwise.
It doesn't have the dates.
Maybe there's an opportunity when we update it to take on that bullet number 2 if you all wish to handle that one differently in terms of the rotating basis.
All right, let me go to Commissioner Griffin very quickly, then I want to wrap up.
Commissioner Dunlap, and I do have to go, but we need to have a board of county commission policy. Staff has things and they're plugged in policy works, but the last official policy we have is dated 2005. We need to have a policy because we want to try to get to results. You're not going to get to results if this board doesn't update and have its own policy. There's $4.3 billion worth of construction going on in the next 16 months in Mecklenburg County, and we're talking about maybe $50 million going to minority firm or something. I mean, we got to do better across the board, public and private. So I don't know, colleagues, how we get there. I'll work on it again to see where we can go to get a policy. Thank you.
Well, let me say this. This isn't an. I think we all agree with you, right? Because this isn't an end point, right? This is a start. We gotta, in my opinion, we've got to have the data first to be able to move towards the policy component that Commissioner Griffin is lifting up. I'm definitely on the same page. So, one of the questions that I had was, will this, will this lead to a policy? I mean, we have the data now, we have the information. I kind of look at it a little bit different, I think, not with respect to taking a victory lap, but I am surprised to see the percentage of participation with either minority-led or non-minority-led and minority partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised at that. So it seems like that appears to be the sweet spot. But we do want to increase that minority-led piece as well, right? So we want to provide that opportunity there. I want to see the breakdown, the distribution of money. When you go to that bucket that is that non-MBE led with an MBE partner, that 123 million, I'd like to see the distribution breakdown of what went to the minority partner and what went to that majority firm, I guess. Because out of that 123 million, if 100 million went to the majority firm, then we're not doing great, right? But if the distribution means, if the distribution is a reasonable breakdown, and I don't know what that is, 65-35, 60-40 or something like that, then I would feel like we're doing better. Are you tracking?
Yeah, definitely.
If I could, I just want to go back to what I said before about opportunities of small firms versus larger firms. So larger firms can do, MBE firms that are with a partner can do more work and get more money. Smaller firms can't because of their capability lining up. So you have to be careful, I think, about if you raise up the ante on I want more money spent, you're going to find bigger firms, and that'll take opportunities away from the smaller ones in terms of how that might work. So it's a tricky thing.
So, but really, I respect that and appreciate that. I'm just asking if we have that data that just shows the distribution. I mean, I think we can go back in and look, but if we don't have it.
We don't have that, yeah.
Okay. Well, that would be something that I was interested in, just because, you know, we're saying 39%, 83%, but again, I just, it doesn't really, for me, it's not telling me enough. That's number one, but it's a start. Commissioner Powell, I love what you said, create new winners. My goal in this space has always been this equity piece and opportunity piece. And as I look at it, one of the problems that I've had in the past, I felt like the same people were, to Commissioner Powell's point, was coming to the trough over and over and over again. And the thing that I wanted us to look at potentially was this idea of more of a tiered process. So let's just say you want a CRC from us in 2025, $200 million. Do you come back to the front of the line just because there's another CRC 2 years later? Or do you have to kind of wait you come to the back of the line because we've given you a certain time frame? Like, you just won $200 million from the county a year ago. Do we give somebody a waiting period to say, okay, you can come back in the door, but you've got to wait 3 years? That way we funnel more opportunity comes through the funnel if you tier it. And maybe there's like a $400 million break, a $200 million break, and $50 million and below, or something to that effect. Because again, we're never going to provide the opportunity to folks, because the only people that can compete are the ones that have done that level of work. We do very similar work. And so if you've done work with the county, you're always going to be able to say, yeah, I meet that RFQ to me. The last thing, and I apologize, guys, so that's just something to consider. We can take that back up at some other time. But to Commissioner Griffin's point, Sean, how do we get to policy? How do we get to board policy around what we're trying to capture?
So I think essentially, and I'll yield to the county manager on this, but hearing your discussion, that's something that we'll go back to the executive team to talk about, and we'll partner with our internal team to start developing policy language for your review, but we'll work with the county manager on how to move this forward.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, this is not the end. This is the beginning. Yeah. This is the first step of the team and I responding to your concerns, as well as some of our community partners. to bring forth the recommendations as they have, get your reaction to that, and then factor that with the next steps, which we'll bring forward as well. So more to come on this.
Last comment, and then motion to adjourn.
It's okay. I mean, you've said it all, Mr. Chairman. We just, it's the results that we're looking for. All right? Thank you.
With the policy.
Adjourn.
With the policy.
Yeah. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.